I know my boundaries. I want to fight Anthony Joshua exclusive because I know that I will beat Anthony Joshua's ass. I know I will
just got knocked out, right?
Yeah. He doesn't have a chin and he has no skill and he's stiff. And I love you, Anthony. We're friends. All this, but I want to fight you.
AJ this morning, he went, listen, of course, I'd fight. I mean, if the question was asked to Jai, would you fight Jake Paul? And there was...
I wouldn't fight him, I'd bash him.
Yeah. But he might do it. He might just do it for, just for doing it, for the sake of it. But obviously we know, listen, Jake creates massive events.
Look into the camera and say it directly because it just has to be said. Jake Paul, sir, you are absolutely delusional.
And choose the rematch in its place. That's all for now. To receive the best news, events, and actions in the boxing world, follow us on YouTube and remember to enable notifications so you can be informed when we post high-quality content like this. Until the next time. That's all for now. To get the most up-to-date information on news, events, and activities in the boxing world, follow us on YouTube and remember to enable notifications so you can be informed when we post high-quality content like this. Until the next time, peace.
We're here. I want to ask you a question because the world of media went mental this morning. Anthony Joshua against Jake Paul. Please put this to bed or light the fire. What's going on?
I mean, this is the first time I've spoken about the fight. To be honest, I look at it and I think Jake Paul against Anthony Joshua. I mean, look, for me, we'd do it for the banter. Do you know what I mean? AJ would fight Jake Paul. He'd fight anyone, to be honest with you. And if Jake Paul wants to step up and fight Anthony Joshua, he'll need the relevant insurance. But the only thing that was disappointed was he says 2026. I mean, that's like calling someone out. That's like me saying, LA Olympics for the surfing, 2028, I'll be there. Do you know what I mean? Do it in 2025 if you really want to do it. You're not going to get really much better at this stage. But I don't know, those two have spoken. I spoke to AJ this morning. He went, listen, of course, I'd fight. I mean, if the question was asked to Jai, would you fight Jake Paul? And there was...
I wouldn't fight him, I'd bash him.
Yeah. But he might do it. He might just do it for, just for doing it, for the sake of it. But obviously we know, listen, Jake creates massive events, right? You know that's going to create, unbelievable viewership. And, no disrespect to Jake Paul, it's a straightforward night's work. But, I like this calling out of Canelo and all this. AJ it's another challenge up there. But, if they're game, why not?
What did he say, AJ, to you about it?
He said, why not? I said, what do you want me to say when I'm asked about it? And he said, tell everyone I'll fight anyone, anytime. It's not a problem for me.
YouTuber turned boxer Jake Paul has set his sights on Anthony Joshua, saying the former boxer has no chin, no skills, and is stiff. He posted an image of Joshua making a phone conversation on Twitter with the message, "Look who called 2026 Anthony Joshua." On the other hand, Anthony Joshua posted a screenshot of himself on the phone with Jake Paul on Instagram, sparking rumors that Paul would beat up the former heavyweight champion. This post was made soon after Jake Paul publicly called him out, claiming that Joshua would lose a boxing match to him. The boxing community and fans have strong opinions about Jake Paul's challenge to Anthony Joshua. Many think that Paul's ambition to fight a seasoned heavyweight like Joshua is unrealistic and overly ambitious. This social media exchange has fueled fan speculation about the possibility of a match between the former heavyweight champion and the YouTuber turned boxer. Meanwhile, Jake shared a post from Vafa Sports that said, "Jake Paul sent me his list of desired fights for 2025 and 2026 on February 10th, 3 days after the Canelo matchup fell apart. One of those 6 fighters was Anthony Joshua. I called Jake to make sure he was serious."
The real deal respond to me as I tweeted my thoughts about delusion, which again, I think is more about what Jake said about Anthony Joshua and what he'll do to him. That was the more delusional aspect of this. Amanda Serrano said, "At Jake Paul is the truth." Funny, they say he's a fraud for wanting easy fights. Then he asked for the toughest fights ever, and they say he's nuts. Listen, he was scheduled to fight Canelo Gervonta, and now he's calling out Joshua. Come on, who else is doing this? Oh, crap, on second thought, he is out of his freaking mind. You're right. That was more of just Amanda backing her guy, you know what I'm saying, the co-founder of MVP and someone that she really respects. And
Reports indicate that Jake Paul is also slated to battle Gervonta Tank Davis, which would further complicate his boxing career. This comes after Davis's last contentious bout against Lamont Roach. Jake Paul has made it known that he wants to fight Anthony Joshua, demonstrating his desire to challenge well-known opponents in a variety of weight divisions.
Gervonta Davis, and she's not the only one saying that. Dan Raphael said the same thing earlier that day or maybe yesterday. I can't believe that that's true or if that was really going to happen. Essentially, the idea being, had Gervonta Davis beat Lamont Roach, he was going to fight Jake Paul next. And this is why I say, like, it's delusional, but it's possible. Like, he almost had the Canelo fight, and think what you will about how that went down and how realistic that was going to be. I legit think it was probably close to happening. Now you're telling me there were discussions and potentially, signed to fight Gervonta Tank Davis. And again, I do believe the reason for that is Jake's massive size advantage. Again, that's like a 100-pound weight advantage. How would that even work?
During the post-fight conference following his fight with Lamont Roach, Jarvin Davis used the occasion to criticize Jake Paul. This unforeseen obstacle adds a new dimension to the developing story of Jake Paul's boxing career.
Who were you going to call out? What was the plan originally?
I think he was here. He came in my locker room.
Shakur Stevenson?
He wasn't in my locker room.
Jake Paul?
Next question.
God damn, that's not the Gervonta I know.
Jake. In the boxing world, Paul's aggressive call out of two-time unified heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua has drawn attention. Boxing experts find it shocking that Paul, who has no boxing experience, would make such strong assertions about a fighter of Joshua's quality.
Jake Paul has just called Anthony Joshua out. Yes, Anthony Joshua, AJ, the two-time unified heavyweight champion of the world. This brother called this man out. Oh my God. Now, in a recent clip on Jake Paul's podcast, I think, he basically said that he will beat Anthony Joshua's ass and he has no skill, no chin, and he's too stiff for him. He also apologized to Anthony, saying, Anthony, I'm sorry, we're friends, but I know I can beat your ass. This guy is tapped in the head. Then again, he almost got a fight with Tank. If Tank beat Lamont Roach when they drew, he would have fought Jake Paul. It was lined up, basically. A lot of people get mad when people say he's the face of boxing. These highly rated boxers want to fight Jake Paul. So, I don't know what to say, honestly. But one thing for sure, AJ will never fight. AJ's too classy for that. Way too classy. He respects the sport of boxing too much to fight this guy. Absolute plonker. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. And make sure you follow for the most up-to-date and sharpest boxing news and content on TikTok.
The boxing community has responded quickly to Jake Paul's remarks regarding Anthony Joshua. Critics point to Paul's prior defeat to Tommy Fury, casting doubt on his ability to evaluate Joshua's skills. One Twitter user unanimously declared, YouTube boxer Jake Paul, who lost to Tommy Fury, says heavyweight Anthony Joshua has no chin, no skill, is stiff, and that he would beat his what is this guy talking about. Anthony Joshua has been forthcoming with Jake. According to reports, Paul told his promoter Eddie Hearn that he would fight. According to Paul Heen, Joshua's answer was, listen, I'd fight him. Although this shows Joshua's willingness, many in the boxing community believe the possible fight is unrealistic given the two fighters' different backgrounds and skill levels. Some observers have called the idea of such a fight delusional, casting doubt on the legitimacy and competitiveness of the proposed fight.
Well then, it looks like Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul might be in discussions to fight. They were both on a call to each other earlier, and the viral video went round of Jake Paul saying he would knock out Anthony Joshua. If I'm being completely honest, I think Jake Paul would actually be lucky to make it out alive, and I'm actually being dead serious. I think Jake Paul would be lucky to make it out of the ring with Anthony Joshua alive. Tyron Woodley literally had Jake Paul on skates and had Jake Paul panicking for his life. Imagine what Anthony Joshua would do. Look at what Joshua did to the last non-boxer he fought in, Francis Ngannou. That is not going to end well for Jake Paul. But look, let's be real here. This fight should never happen. It's an absolute disgrace to the sport if it does. And yeah, there's got to be a lot of backlash if this actually happens, because it's actually probably worse to the sport of boxing than what Fury in Ngannou was when it came around, or, or Mayweather McGregor. It can't happen.
Anthony Smith, an MMA fighter, has made remarks regarding Jake Paul's boxing strategy, implying that Paul pursues great adversaries in order to earn large paychecks. Smith suggests that Paul's tactic is to use trash talk to provoke well-known figures, which results in high-profile fights that bring in a sizable sum of money. This viewpoint is consistent with observations of Paul's matchmaking decisions, which have been a source of disagreement among boxing purists because they frequently involve older or less active fighters.
Like our legends, older, shorter, smaller, past their prime legends that have spent their entire careers running their bodies into fucking car accidents, and then we hold these guys near and dear to our heart. And then this fuckhead just pulls them out of fucking semi-retirement, and then is not.
Paul has stated interest in competing against MMA sensation Conor McGregor, demonstrating that his goals transcend beyond boxing. Given McGregor's history and accomplishments in combat sports, Paul's claim that his boxing skills are becoming better while implying that his talents are deteriorating with age has been viewed with skepticism. Paul's remarks demonstrate his self-assurance and his tactic of taking on well-known players to raise his name in the combat sports industry.
You think McGregor's done?
I think he has to come back and fight, but he needs to win.
Will he fight you?
I don't think he will. I think my skill level is outgrowing his in boxing, and I have the height advantage. He can't beat me, and I think he probably knows that. And time, he's only getting older, and I'm only getting better.
The main reason why a lot of fans are excited to see Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul fight is because they think Joshua will outclass and degrade Paul in the ring. Given the vast difference in experience, skill, and weight class, many fans believe that Paul's confidence in challenging Joshua is unrealistic. Nevertheless, the possibility of a fight between the two has generated a lot of interest, with some hoping that Joshua would put an end to Paul's audacious claims inside the ring. Paul's history of criticizing elite fighters and asserting his superiority over them has made him one of the most divisive figures in combat sports.
You have got to be taking the mick. Jake Paul has called out Anthony Joshua and claims, I will fucking beat Anthony Joshua's ass. You know what? I want this to happen just so Anthony Joshua could just absolutely decimate this man right here. So first he fights Tommy Fury, a legitimate professional boxer, and he loses. Then he fights an OAP and Mike Tyson and beats him. Obviously, he's nearly 60 years old. Then he goes to try and fight Canelo, which fell through, thankfully. Then he tried to fight Tank Davis, which again fell through. And now he wants to fight Anthony Joshua, a legit world-level heavyweight boxer. Anthony Joshua is someone that I've always looked up to and probably one of my favourite boxers to this day and age. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind Jake Paul here and there, but there's just things he does in the sport that I don't agree with at all. And fighting Anthony Joshua, listen, I'm all here for it, just to see him get knocked clean out. The fact that he thinks he can compete with these high-level boxers, even though he lost to Tommy Fury, is just laughable. But how long does it take for Anthony Joshua to knock Jake Paul out? I'm saying 5 seconds.
Anthony Joshua has finally commented on Jake Paul's increasing boxing influence, while admitting that Paul lacks mature fighting expertise. Joshua acknowledged that Paul has benefited the sport by bringing in large sums of money and success. Joshua acknowledges that Paul's capacity to draw attention and market fights has expanded the boxing fan base, something that traditional boxing purists might not necessarily value.
So, Jake Paul?
Yeah, good. Great for boxing. Good luck to him. He's trying. Zero amateur experience, throwing himself in the deep end. I guarantee you he'll probably learn a lot more than a lot of fighters will that are just half-hearted with it. Man's throwing himself in the deep end, putting himself under pressure. When you can deal with that amount of pressure, you have to get better at it. So yeah, good luck to him. Good luck to him.
It's interesting to note that Jake Paul has long lauded Anthony Joshua and called him one of his favorite fighters, despite his recent derogatory statements. Paul has previously praised Joshua's achievements and boxing skills, but his most recent comments seem to reflect his displeasure with the boxing industry, claiming that politics and money are given too much weight instead of organizing the biggest fights.
Everyone's been wanting to see it happen. Who will be the king of the United Kingdom? And who will be the queen of the United... Too soon? I'm praying that boxing doesn't happen to this fight, and what I mean by that is politics. People trying to take more money than they deserve. Fuck the money, get in there, make fucking history. This is one of the biggest fights that could happen over this past decade. Make it fucking happen, Eddie Hearn. Make it fucking happen, Frank Warren. Make it happen, Tyson. Make it happen, Anthony Joshua. We don't need fucking excuses. Don't let boxing ruin this fight. Get in the fucking ring and fight like men.
Unlike some traditional boxers who completely disregard YouTube boxing, Jake Paul has publicly announced himself to be the only legitimate fighter in boxing, asserting that he is the one who genuinely adds excitement and energy to the sport. Taking a more impartial stance Anthony Joshua has claimed that YouTube boxing has helped the sport by expanding its exposure and attracting new spectators. Joshua admits that boxing has been popularized by boxers like Jake Paul, who may not have been interested in the sport before.
What do you make of this YouTube
10 out of 10.
boxing scene?
I'm telling you, it's good for boxing because it's showing people you can fight someone that is well-known, credible, can fight, marketable, without a championship and have that same effect early on in your career, and you can still get all the rewards anyway. So I think that they're showing guys, oh, hang on a minute, there's so much potential in boxing regardless of championships. And I think it's good because now people start taking more risks early on. These guys coming into the game are changing the landscape for the better, showcasing that if you have a business mind on, marketable, creative, content driven, obviously talented, you can generate big business and do great things.
Jake Paul frequently calls out boxing greats, offers them huge salaries, and then disparages them following their bouts. Despite suffering his first professional defeat in his bout with Tommy Fury, Paul still maintains his status as the sport's best attraction.
Who is the most power you've ever felt in a fight?
I would say Tommy Fury. It's the shots you don't see. So Tommy was a little tricky. Mike's punches I could see coming. He was strong, but he didn't land anything clean. So I honestly didn't feel Mike Tyson's full power, but that's good. I mean, you don't want to. So
I feel like he lost confidence second round. Like he stopped giving his all.
He just started surviving.
Jake Paul's decision to call out Mike Tyson, a former heavyweight champion and one of the most feared fighters in boxing history, was one of the most contentious moments in his career. Although Paul eventually prevailed in a fight by decision in a different bout, many fans were incensed at the thought of Paul calling out an elderly legend like Tyson, with many feeling that Paul was disrespecting the legacy of one of boxing's greatest fighters.
Wasn't the Tyson-Jake fight, wasn't that amazing?
Yeah. It's amazing they got paid so much money for that.
25 million and 40 million?
I think 20 and 40. Yeah, I think that's what I'd heard. You know, which I'm happy Mike got the money, and I'm happy that he didn't get hurt. That was my fear, that it was going to be a real fight and he was going to get hurt.
You've known him for a long time. I've known him for a long time.
I love that dude.
Me too.
And he was a larger than life figure in my childhood.
Truly,
when I was a kid, when he was the champ, it was like people don't understand what a champ he was. Like he wasn't just the heavyweight champion of the world. He was an executioner. Like
Truly.
Every fight was just a matter of how long was it going to last.
Which fight it was that I went to go see a couple of fights, and I actually went to go see Julio Cesar Chavez fight, and that's when I met Tyson in the green room.
Watching Netflix on Friday night, Jake Paul, Mike Tyson?
Yes, I was. But what did I make of it? I think commercially and a business sense, I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Both men made a ton of money. So best luck to them. Congratulations. As far as the boxing fight, it wasn't a fight. It was a tip and tap. Don't hit me, I won't hit you. Circle the ring a little bit. Make it look good. That's all it was. So I don't really make too much of it.